in 1965, I was hired by Aerojet General Corporation to work at the Nevada test site. I was a floating secretary, so I would go from EMAD to RMAD to NRDS to Engine Test Site 1, that type of thing, wherever they needed me. And a couple of the facilities were underground, so that's where we would work. And I was out there for about 5 years, and at that time they would do different testing of bombs and explosions and that. And what I remembered was, which I thought was quite curious, is they would say, oh, if you have any old white glass or antique glass or something, bring it in before the test, and then they wrap it in this special tinfoil of some kind of thing and identify it as yours. And we'll put it somewhere close to this test for some reason, and then we'll give it back to you, and months later, and it would turn it either purple or yellow. And so a lot of us thought, okay, well, we have some old glass and we do that. If it wasn't antique old glass, it wouldn't turn color. But the really old glass, so I think I still have some of those pieces at the house. I hope they're not harmful to me, but isn't that interesting that they offered to do that? I was born in Wyoming, and then our family moved to Los Angeles, and then from there to Las Vegas. And it was, probably about several years after I left the test site and went to work in downtown Las Vegas that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And the doctors wanted to do experimental surgery and all types of things, and I was not into that. I'm still not into that type of thing. And so my husband had a friend who has a clinic in Tijuana that does not use knives or radiation, chemo, that type of thing. It's kind of a healthy cure type of thing. So I said, I've heard your stories about how this lady helps people, and that's where I want to go. So we went there, and through a healthy diet and their herbal tonic and lots of vitamin C and other things, I was able to cure it in 2 years. Of course, now, for some reason, Cold War patriots called me and wanted to know how I was doing that. And I said, well, they said, oh, well, you could apply for compensation. All you have to do is get the doctors and the hospitals confirmation. Well, it was so many years ago, it was before they kept records. So I called every hospital, every doctor I could, and they're either dead or we didn't keep records back in those days. So I have no validity of my situation. But then now, my husband, he worked at the Nevada test site, and his name is Darwin Lamb, or was. He passed away a year and a half ago. And he was there the day after they did that first big bomb. He and his crew were told to go and clean up around it with, no protective gear or anything that no one knew at that time what they were being exposed to. And he has told me over the years that all of his coworkers had died of cancer. He got colon rectal cancer, and then eventually a year and a half ago he also got COPD and passed away. But it was a battle we were able to prove his cancer because it happened a lot more recently than mine. But so that's kind of, and I remember stories because his family had a horse ranch beyond the Nevada test site. And he says sometimes they'd go out there and they'd see, like the wild mustangs or deer. They'd have these strange stripes on their backs. And they just believed it was from being exposed to the testing, that somehow it affected their coats, or I don't know why, but it was kind of interesting. We were in the area, but there were times when they'd have them and we'd all go down underground into like the big cement rooms. I can remember engine test stand number 1, EMAD, and RMAD, the reactor building facility, and then the engine building facility. In fact, I think I still have a picture of my desk area I'd have, and it was pretty, grim down underground with no windows. So over the years, I'd find bright, fun pictures, and I made like a big collage on the wall where I was working to cheer it up a little bit. But yeah, you could hear the rumbles, you could feel the rumbles, you could, and then you were not allowed to go out for so many hours, and that type of thing. And a lot of officials from Washington, D.C. would fly in. I have to go pick them up, or I would go pick them up at the little airport we'd have and bring them to the offices. After the fact, the damage that was done to so many people and to wild stock, livestock, wildlife, it's sad. It's very sad what they did.
Right.
And didn't tell anyone. And we were not made aware, we were not educated as to what was really going on.